Hi everybody, here's Krystian from TeamworkCast.
And I am Putty from American TeamworkCast.
And this Netrunner TeamworkCast, these are, this is a draft from original Netrunner cards on the 26th of July, a long time ago, but the cards are also very long, very old. And this is the final round, the final game, the second game from the final round. On the left we have PeterPan, on the right we have our resident original Netrunner expert, Frizzler.
Hello, Frizzler.
And Frizzler is shuffling his cards because he will be playing the corporation this time around.
I'm excited. He kind of actually played this game like an expert last turn. And
he just pretty much solved all of the Netrunner that PeterPan has set out for him. It's like, leash, no problem, just breaking it with my foobar.
Whatevs, bro, don't care.
Very, very aggressive, simple solutions. And so now let's see what happens in this game. I'm expecting some amazing things happening this time around.
I am as well.
Let's see about that. There's mandatory draw and the game already begins. Frizzler thinking a lot about what he sees. That's kind of the way he is. He's kind of like a person who thinks a lot about the things he does.
Good job, bro. Thinking is good.
All right, and he picks a card. He will be maybe installing it.
Do it?
Yes.
Oh,
no. Wrong card.
Turn your deck the other way. Turn it the other way.
Oh, no, wait. No, he takes it. Oh, yeah, the deck is upside down. But we now see a card installed in front of HQ and in R&D. There is, of course, no HQ because there is no identities in the old Netrunner, so there is no card installed in HQ, but there is an HQ.
I can appreciate. Thank you, Frizzler, for putting your ice where you put it, or putting your credits.
Well, that's a good example of where you have to put the credit. It's kind of nice that you don't have identity, so you can put your credits into HQ. Anyway, so there's a run on HQ, no res, and there's an access that just some ice. So there's a run on R&D now, and this is going to be a Taxman! No. So it's a 3-cost. No, wait, it's not.
This is the Nerve Labyrinth.
Nerve Labyrinth. I'm sorry, I skipped ahead.
I can't believe you looked into the future.
I looked in the future. 6-cost, strength 4 code gate that actually does net damage. Net damage.
Yeah.
And Frizzler's like, that's. By the way, that's the only code gate in the game that does net damage. You sprang. You've tapped into my trap.
Well,
PeterPan.
actually. Puts on his fedora.
And PeterPan is like, whoa. This guy's playing on a different level. I have to fedora up to keep up with him.
Fedora up, bro. Silhouette looking on. She can't believe what she's seeing.
What am I doing here with those two guys? I could be on my bike.
I could be.
I have my helmet and everything. Huh?
I could be on tour with Rihanna right now.
Yeah, I would. She's a double actually in every film. She was actually a double for Rihanna in Battleship. Our both favorite film.
Yes, best movie ever. Oh man, I love that. I'm gonna watch it after we're done here.
Yeah. The best thing is where the Thunder soundtrack comes.
And there's all these old men, and they're in a World War II battleship that's somehow still armed and operational, like so many Death Stars.
I'm going to play this, actually, and play World of Battleships at the same time.
Oh, that would be the best. What a good idea.
Yeah,
streaming possibilities.
All right, so PeterPan does nothing much more, and Frizzler just gets credits either. So early exchange of blows, and now is a Taxman that I spoiled previously. So this is a 3-cost virus. It's kind of like Lamprey, because it charges counters up on HQ runs, and then for 2 counters on this, Corp loses 1 credit at the beginning of their turn.
Yeah, that's kind of amazing. Like. That it's permanent and you're just sitting there draining for forever. Can it also be...
Yes! Nick, our favorite card! Edited Shipment Manifest, the Lamborghini forklifts.
You remember that day?
So this is a proto-account siphon.
Oh, good. They can purge virus counters, but...
Yes, they can. They're not permanent. I mean, it's a virus counter, like Shakana or something like this. You charge it up, and if there's 2 on there, then the corporation loses a credit every turn. But the thing is, if there's 4 on there, they lose 4 credits every turn.
So I want Team Covenant, if they ever listen to this video, or Broken an Egg, or whoever, imagine the possibilities. We've seen crumble counters. These ones give tax counters. You guys could do so many counters if Old Netrunner was still around.
They're clearly doing the wrong game. Like, they should have, you could, create counters for every single card.
Imagine what a crumble counter would be. It could be like a cookie.
You could have a Mastiff counter.
Imp counter. Toot toot.
There's no imp counter. Imp's not a virus in this game.
Just make it anyway. Who cares? Just make it. It's make my dreams come true.
All right. So there was a credit on Frizzler's turn, and now thinking a lot.
I don't know why people don't make my dreams come true.
Don't let your dreams be dreams, Nick.
I watched a pretty significant amount of him watching himself.
So was it as emotional as you expected?
It was kind of amazing, not for him, but for the people around him, which I think was the point of it.
I guess. So anyway, here's a new data fort that's being created. A lot of discussion around this. Because this Taxman is actually pretty sweet right now.
Yeah, he is. He needs to purge in the worst way, but I don't know. I guess it's better to purge on 3 counters instead of 2.
Not only does he have to purge, he also has to kind of it's difficult for him to get money. It's just annoying. So he draws a card, maybe.
Yeah, the Taxman that's such a powerful card, even in this game.
Alright, so instead of this Batman reference, we're gonna say, I'm the Taxman!
People are gonna comment on this video. You guys got off topic too much.
Well, the currently players are really considering what they do now. I think we're gonna see a drastic move by Frizzler soon.
Oh, I hope so. I want to see if the drastic move is moving one of those Netrunner cards to all face the same way. I will appreciate everything.
You wish, Nick. Man, I still am in love with editor Schiffman manifests. I wish that we had, as criminals, we could decide between this and account type. I don't know which I would play.
I think I would play the one with the better art.
Well, can you get better than a Lamborghini forklift?
No, you can't.
Lamborghini
forklift is amazing. Right? Oh my god.
Alright, so the first click is install a server.
Uh-oh, I clicked on my keyboard.
You shouldn't.
I know.
You should focus, Nick.
I wanted to touch your fingers.
Nick, look at this. Get a load of this, Nick. Are you ready for this? I don't think you're ready for this, what's happening right now. So this is a rent-to-own contract, which allows Frizzler to rest this colonel failure for free. Colonel failure, we already had, I think, in the previous game, or maybe we haven't. Anyways, it's a cost 17 ice.
Oh my god.
It's the most expensive ice in the game. Cost 17, strength 6, 3 trash program subroutines, 2 end-run subroutines.
It's 3 trash programs, 2 end-runs.
Yeah, it's crazy. Incredibly large, incredibly expensive to break, and with rent-to-own contracts, he can rest for free. For free!
But then it slowly counts down, right?
Yes, there's a downside, of course. At the beginning of his turn, he has to lose 2 credits or so, if he can. And then one of the counters on rent-to-own contracts gets removed. There's as many counters on theirs as the cost of the ice. So it basically pays off slowly double the install price, if he can. But the thing is, if he doesn't have the money, then he doesn't have to pay. There is no downside,
Yeah.
And he has colonel failure rest now. So how does PeterPan get through that with just 3 credits,
That's just, there's literally no downside to this.
No, PeterPan, because we have to catch up. PeterPan installed a skeleton passkeys and did a rush hour. Rush hour is actually interesting because it's a maker's eye that does where you access 4 cards instead of 3, but you can't use noisy breakers during this round.
Yeah, and I'm sad just because this is a draft tournament. You don't see a lot of very consciously constructed decks because the noisy and non-noisy decks had hugely different strategies, but they were always amazing.
I really love Rush Hour. I hope we get a reprint of something similar. I really like this idea of having to use certain types of breakers, where the event and your breaker suite kind of interact with each other. I love that. And I think the idea of having noisy and stealth breakers as a kind of like polar opposites, I think that's something that we're I feel like Android Netrunner is so much poorer that they don't have this.
Yeah.
That we don't have this.
Because even if they were doing like forethought, like advertisements is probably a good example of this. They had the forethought to think, well, we put this keyword in there that we've never used, so let's put a card in there that allows like an identity or whatever. I think that the whole noisy and stealth thing, they should have had the forethought to put it in there, because now it's like Corroder would be a noisy breaker, but like Fem would probably be a non-noisy breaker. I don't know. There's a whole lot of stuff that they could have done that they didn't, which I think is unfortunate.
It's a bit. There's a bit of design space that got lost. Yeah. So anyway, Frizzler installed a card behind Colonel Failure, and advanced it twice.
Come
and
at me, bro, I got a tank.
Frizzler is like completely like whatever. Taxman doesn't care. I'm losing like 3 credits or so every turn. I don't even have any credits, so I cannot lose any credits. So I don't care. So he draws like. So for example, he will now draw a mandatory draw. He will get a credit advance, and that's it.
This rent-to-own contract is nuts. Like, why wouldn't you have that in your deck?
And score. Oh, we're gonna actually get a score here. Nice. So this is what kind of agenda is this, Nick?
What kind of an agenda is this? This is corporate downsizing. This is a 3/2, and it's kind of a weird. What's the Jinteki card? Where you show
a celebrity gift kind of like, right?
Celebrity gift. It says when you score it, show to the runner any number of agendas stored in HQ, gain bits equal to twice the combined agenda points of these cards, and then shuffle them into R&D. So it's like, that's insane.
It's insane. It's a 3/2 agenda that gets rid of agenda flood, that makes money out of the agenda flood.
Yeah, you're like, oh, this is perfect. Here's 10 points of agendas that's in my hand. Suddenly you have 20 credits. And you get to shuffle all those back in.
It's such a great card. I wish we could get a reprint of this. Maybe we're gonna get one once Jackson Howard gets cycled out.
Yeah, if Jackson Howard's tied to an agenda, that'd be nuts. But yeah, this is 3 different cards all combined into one.
So I don't know if Frizzler really wanted that, because he got rid of agenda. He has 4 credits, but he will lose all the credits now.
Yeah,
or at least 3 of those.
Finally.
Yeah, maybe he can do that. And actually, he already anticipated this, and he says like he can still purge after the mandatory draw.
Yeah.
And then he won't lose the credits then.
Yeah. I think that I like the errata on corporate downsizing, which is right sizing. The word is right sizing.
I don't know how it's downsizing. I guess you're getting rid of agenda, so that's how you're downsizing, right?
Yeah,
but you're making money
on the card is like a giant tower into like a little electronic pagoda looking thing.
It's getting smaller and smaller. It's getting like multiple. Anyway, so there is a run on HQ, and that is going to be a what is that? Whether to finance pipe. Corp loses 4.
Wow. So he lost all of his money, and he's going to lose all of his money again.
Yeah.
So hooray!
PeterPan just can't wait for Frizzler to lose all this money.
All the money gone until he purges. Maybe finally he will purge.
I kind of like that account type is basically whether to finance pipe and edit the shipment manifests 1 in 1. So anyway, and then afterwards we're gonna see a disgruntled ice technician, which is a make a run, and then DRS and ice, you broke all the subs off.
Yeah.
This run. And then you have to actually end the run afterwards. So, Frizzler not going to be rezzing with 0 credits anything, so that's kind of like nice, because we're going to see PeterPan having all the access now. He sees something and he reads a lot long, and then he will decide, I don't know what this does. I have no idea what this is. I read this card twice now. I have no idea what this is. And I'm even sitting right next to him. I'm like, I could explain it to you, but if I explain it to you, Frizzler knows what it is.
Yeah.
And, that's kind of like a common that everybody, I think, experienced during this draft, where it's like, you have a wall of text on each card, and it's like, at some point you just give up, and you're like, I don't know what it does, I have a vague idea. It does something with counters, and I lose money.
It's kind of like, it's those weird moments like, when I switched over to alt-art pop-up windows, people would look at it, and they're like, oh, what's that? Oh, like, I already know what card that is.
Yeah.
Thank you for telling me.
Yeah. So yeah, Frizzler drew it, and it was again something that you could use to res ice with. So I guess this is the idea of his deck that he drafted together, like getting like ridiculously expensive ice, and then resing it through unconventional means.
Yeah.
And currently he's like committing all the way to being like completely broke all the game. I think he's trying to find out some way to get some credits.
I think it begins and ends with purging virus counters.
Yeah, so he gets 2 credits and installs 1 ice in front of Kernel Failure.
So I looked, there is no errata, because errata was kind of the way these games worked back then, for that rent-to-own contract. If it goes away, it just goes away. But there's no way for it to go away, so it's just, I don't know.
I guess there's maybe some things. Anyway, so we see a data wall run on HQ, and there's a data wall. The rest costs 1. And he actually had that 1 credit from previous round. So it's a strength 0 and a run. Then running on HQ, and that is... Oh yeah, so that's the card that I was reading. So this is Corporate Guards Temps.
Biotic labor that sticks around.
Yeah, so it's kind of like biotic labor, but you don't pay it when you play it. But you pay it like in the turns afterwards, so you forfeited the next credits you get. So you pay it off afterwards. And the interesting is that it's also not just for 1 turn. You don't get just the extra credit this 1 turn, but over multiple turns.
Yeah, like the text on it I think is kind of weird, but I think it had to be worded the way that it was worded.
So I'm not not surprised that PeterPan was like, I reading this card and I have no idea what it does. It seems like some extra clicks going on, and then maybe some forfeiting of credits.
Yeah, it's just, but it says pay 2 times X when you play.
Yeah. And so I don't think like Frizzler will be playing the corporate guard temps now, because this is way too expensive for him.
Yeah, but it's kind of nice. Like if he pays 4. He'll get 2 extra turns.
Yeah, but he doesn't. There's no way he can get 4 credits right now. He just doesn't have the money at all. He has 0 money and he loses 3 money credits at the beginning of every turn. Like even if he clicks for credits, he would just lose the credits at the beginning of his turn. He installs something. So he always, like, every time he gets credits, he has to make sure that he spends those credits before the beginning of his next turn. He's like really living hand to mouth, so to speak. Oh, I see one of our favorite artworks on Frizzler's hand. The Looney Goon.
Ah, the Looney Goon. I really like the Corporate Guard Temps. That's kind of an amazing card.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
I mean, it's way too powerful to me to show up anywhere.
I think it's a bit too complicated from the wording. It's like... There's probably so many loopholes in this text. Yeah. Because, every sentence is a potential for some kind of smartest to come in and find out some kind of loophole.
Like, for people who are watching this, if you want to go and look at the card errata, there's errata at the bottom of every single card. And you can see, like, some official ruling came out of some tournament somewhere. So it's like, it's what has become Twitter rulings, but errata for forever.
Yeah, there's a lot of erratas going on. So anyway, there's lots of discussion going on. I think PeterPan can't still believe that there's this ice in front of this. There's an card installed inside, though. And now we're going to see Planning Consultants, which is basically Precognition, that card that nobody plays from the core set.
Yeah.
So
it just says, look at the top 5 cards, arrange them in any order you choose.
Yeah. So Frizzler kind of can plan his turn ahead a little bit. I mean, maybe PeterPan will have some access to HQ. So having to RD, I mean, so having like planning ahead where the agendas are is probably valuable.
Why do they have the Sir Isaac Newton quote on planning consultants?
What does it say?
Chance favors the prepared mind.
Well, that's certainly true.
I mean, I guess it's an advertising exec or something like that. Or it's a Grey Ops card, whatever.
It's fitting. It's fitting.
Yeah.
All right. So Frizzler gets a credit and advances this card. He is really slow rolling his agendas, but you can when you have Kernel Failure rest. So meanwhile, PeterPan gets a Corrosion Knot, which we saw previously, which has cost 3, strength 0, Wall Breaker, pumps for 1, breaks for 1. Runs on the HQ to break that thing. That was Dr. Drev, our favorite. Which we saw being used in a previous game, but we're not going to explain what it does. It's a card, you will see.
It's the one where you can make any card have the ability of Archangel.
Yes.
Pay X,
so to speak, yeah.
And they encounter that ice.
So this is a funny thing. He runs on HQ again, so I think he's like at 6 counters on the Taxman now.
Purge, man! Purge!
So he doesn't have any credits. Why should he purge?
That's true.
Like, Frizzler will lose 5 credits at the beginning of his turn.
Alright.
Yeah, economy is not really an option here. Oh yeah, so the card being installed on the server. Maybe that's Dr. Draft. I mean, it's rounded down, right? Alright, so there's another run on R&D, and Frizzler knows exactly what it is because he did the precognition thing.
Yeah.
Run on HQ.
It's interesting that he's running on R&D despite him.
How many times did you see this? And again. It's like this only the only card in HQ. So yeah, there's like now 8 cards in 8 counters on Taxman.
Oh my god, Taxman is definitely getting taxes.
So I think we're gonna see a person after mandatory draw. That's something you can do. So before he would lose the credits, but he doesn't have any credits anyway. So
I like that. Even though he can't pay his rent-to-own contract, the giant tank that's in his fort is still sticking around.
No, he actually doesn't do it yet. I jumped ahead. He just gets a credit and advances.
Yeah.
And it's like, do you get with the third? What do you do with the third click now? Do you get a credit because you will lose anyway?
Yeah. Just draw a card, whatever.
But then you may get agenda flooded.
Oh, that's true. But he knows what this card is. He still has, I think, 2 cards
but the next
left?
card he maybe doesn't know.
Oh, that's true.
It's kind of like a weird situation where it's like, I don't know what to do. Maybe install something. If it's not an ice. You could play the temps for a 0. Can you do that?
Well, I mean, 2 times 0 is 0, I suppose. Mm-hmm. I just can't believe he's not paying his rent-to-own contract. The rent-to-own people will be there the next day if you miss one payment.
Isn't that unfair? Like, as a runner, if you do the test spin and you don't trash the program, you get like neat damage.
Yeah.
But as a corporation, you can just rent your ice and never pay it back.
I mean, maybe they ran out of room on the card and they're like, whatever, we just won't print it that way.
We're out of room to print the punishment for not paying it back. Oh, there's going to be just no punishment then.
Whatever. Fix it in errata.
Nobody will play that anyway. It's just a flavor card. Alright, so there's an install actually. The entire R&D has been trashed. Interesting. I mean, it makes sense because that ice that was rest there didn't really stop PeterPan. So yeah, they're discussing how much it makes sense to do that, and apparently it does, because Frizzler reminds PeterPan that there's some ice, Nick, and maybe that's a spoiler, that when you res it, you get credits. Even in Android Netrunner, you have that kind of ice. No rest on the R&D run, and that is again a card that it's nothing.
Just as the runner player, as PeterPan in this game, I don't know how he hasn't managed to just flip the table over.
I mean, it's kind of crazy. What do? You know exactly they have no credits. So do you just pound the course central servers, or do you try to amass the money to get through kernel failure eventually?
And so this is charity takeover that he just scored, which is a 1-point agenda. It just says gain 9 and 1 bad publicity point. I am really hoping that at this point he purges.
So it's kind of like a bad hostile takeover.
Yeah.
Where it's not a 2-1 but a 4-1.
Yeah.
And also you have to remember that the bad pub works differently now. So the bad pub doesn't actually give PeterPan a credit for his turn.
Yeah, they're sort of like agenda points for the runner.
Runner. So they win.
If the Corp has, I'm sorry.
So I'm sorry. The corporation, the runner wins when when the corporation has 10 bad publicity. But before they have 10 publicity, the bad publicity does nothing.
It's 7.
Is 7?
Yeah, if the corporation has 7 or more bad publicity points, it loses the game, even if it fulfills the victory conditions at the same time.
Thank you for correcting me on this, Nick.
This charity takeover is drawn by Matt Wilson. I wonder if he's related to Wizard.
Hopefully. All right, so there was an install. I guess he lost the credits. Oh yeah, he scored the agenda and then he installed something.
I really want to know if Matt Wilson's related to him.
Nick is going to go on a Google tour. So if you don't hear from Nick for a while, except from like, then you know exactly what he's doing.
Don't mind me.
All right, there's some kind of discussion, some table talk going on between PeterPan and Frizzler. Thanks, guys. All right, drawing.
I have a feeling we're going to see an amazing card soon.
All right, so now we're going to see this special thing where he loses the credits first from the
rent-to-own contract.
Rent-to-own. Then he does a mandatory draw. Now he can purge, he says. I don't know if maybe that's against the rules, but I'm going to believe him because he knows this game better than I do. So after mandatory, he can still decide to purge, and then he won't lose the credits to the Taxman.
I mean, it makes sense in terms of order of operations, but it makes sense from like an Android Netrunner.
But why did he lose the credits because of colonel failure, but not from the Taxman? Is that like separate effects? I don't know.
Well, because I think he decides what order they go in, right?
Maybe. So PeterPan installs the Looney Goon, our favorite sentry breaker. Cost 4, string 0, 1 to pump, 1 to break.
It's such a good little icebreaker, especially for sentries. Man.
And that artwork, man.
That artwork, now.
There's a run on HQ, and so PeterPan, after he lost all the counters on Taxman, eager to charge it up with counters again.
You know, the artist for Looney Goon has a whole bunch of cards in Netrunner. None of them look the same. They don't have a definable style.
I mean, Looney Goon is
it's Ren and Stimpy style.
It doesn't look like this because that's the style of the artist. It looks like this because they wanted to have like a cartoon character.
Yeah, it's totally Ren and Stimpy style computer graphics.
Yeah. Ren and Stimpy in the future, Nick. In the year 2000.
In the year 2000.
Amen.
Run on HQ, getting those counters back on the Taxman.
PeterPan has like the worst luck. He runs twice on HQ and has both the same card.
Poor PeterPan. I'm going to send him a message. I just watched you, bro. I'm sorry, bro.
All right, so now Frizzler loses the 2 credits, but he still has some credits. Oh no, he loses quite a lot of credits because he loses 3 credits. 2 credits because of the rent-to-own contract and 1 credit due to Taxman. So now he's down to 3 credits, back down again. Maybe he can exploit the fact that he still has some credits left with an install in advance. Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. Cool.
Let's see if he can get through that tank. He's got to get through that tank.
Yeah, that's what PeterPan has to do. And with a Looney Goon, he can start doing this, but how much will it cost with Looney Goon?
It's only 6, so he has to pump it up 6 and do, what, 5? So 11. It tells him 11. I take it back. Plus there's an ice in front of it. Oh, God.
And there's also an upgrade.
He needs that card that just eats an ice. Like, whatever. That's gone. I still don't understand.
Scoring another, it's just slow lowering those agendas. That's going to be a Project Babylon. Bad Beal.
Yeah, this is. We saw this in another game.
Yeah, and then installing another card in the server, and it's 0 credits.
But it's interesting to me that the verbiage on this card just says score 1 additional agenda point for every 2 advancement counters over Project Babylon's difficulty, which stands. There's some other cards that lower the difficulty of agendas. So if you lowered this thing to 1, pumped it up 3, you would get 3 agenda points. Or 2 agenda points. But you could just be crazy.
If you lower it to 0 and pump it up 4 times, it will get 2 agenda points.
All right,
3 agenda points. Sorry, 3.
So it's interesting to me that you could mess around with agenda points like that.
I mean, it's the same as Beal, right? It's just you can't lower this difficulty of agendas in Android Netrunner so far.
Yeah.
All right, so run on HQ. There's nothing. Run on R&D. There's nothing. It's just PeterPan is like having like the worst luck with the R&D.
Poor guy. I mean, he's probably made. I'd be anxious to see what the stats are at the end. How many runs did he make?
It's gonna be crazy.
Because he has to be at about 20.
He even checks archives to make sure that there's maybe some kind of like discard going on. But nope. All right, install advance and install.
Oh my god. It's amazing how strong a tank is.
Colonel Failure doing the good things.
Colonel Failure is not failing.
So there's 2 upgrades in the server and a card that is advanced once. And PeterPan is like asking maybe there's some kind of like trap. What kind of traps are in this game? Frizzler is eager to inform him about all the traps or the horrible things that this could be. All right, running on R&D. No res. Oh, there's a score.
Oh my god, good job, PeterPan.
There is a score that's marked accounts. It's a 4-2, too good to be true, basically. He gets a tag out of this.
Yeah.
Right, and I think our pizza just arrived. there's a
Suddenly pizza.
There's a ring on the door.
I really like the art on this card. Oh my god.
Which one?
Marked accounts. It is definitely the most Lawnmower Man of cards.
This is very Lawnmower Man indeed. Right, getting the credits and running on that server. And now Frizzler will res the washed up solo construct. It is a cost 0, strength 0 sentry, gain 3 when rest, and the subroutine is treasure program unless runner phase 1. So it's basically like this new ice that just came out, like this trap ice special offer a little bit.
Yeah.
Although it's still taxing for the runner to get through this. You still have to pay 1 credit. It's kind of a really good ice, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, there's no reason not to play it, you know?
And the funny thing is, like, PeterPan had exactly 11 credits to break the colonel failure, so it actually stopped PeterPan. Because then with this 1 additional credit, he wouldn't have the money to get through colonel failure.
Man, Colonel Failure, you're so strong. So strong.
Please, Wizards of the Coast, nerf Colonel Failure.
Oh my god.
This game is just insane. Love it. Alright, so getting credit, advancing, slow rolling, all of this.
Don't even care. He's like, whatever.
The slowest roll of them all. And then
icing up archives.
Yeah, why not?
Nice.
PeterPan is like, alright, running R&D again. Nope. Still nothing.
Still nothing. This is insane. Oh my god.
I love this so much. Getting 2 credits. And then I guess running now. Yep, running with exactly 13 credits. So paying 1 credit for the washed up solo construct, paying 11 credits. Oh, I actually didn't pay the round amount? I'm not sure. Alright, and then Frizzler is like looking. Alright, Dr. Dreff! He is there! He is there, Nick!
Dr. Dreff? Yeah!
Oh man, but more importantly, the bizarre encryption scheme. The agenda is not stolen on this run, but automatically next turn if it's still there.
Oh, what a great card!
I love this.
Oh my god, that's amazing.
Dr. Draft is actually doing nothing here right now because I think Frizzler doesn't have the money to show PeterPan anything. But yeah, the encryption scheme is doing good work. So basically the agenda stays in the server.
Yeah.
And if next turn it's not scored at the end of next turn, then PeterPan gets it automatically. It's basically encrypted, and PeterPan is now encrypting it, but it takes some time.
So this is kind of it's an interesting use for
decrypting.
I think you and I have had a pretty lengthy discussion about the so-called third state of agendas. whether it's they're rezzed or unrezzed, but now they're somewhere in between, which like Oaktown renovation and stuff like that. This particular card, the Bizarre Encryption Scheme, I think is a good use for that particular thing.
I know the agenda is not really rest. I mean, it should be still hidden. They just uncovered it just to show. I mean, that's by the way another marked accounts up there and down there. So anyway, so this is an emergency rig. Pay X, rest and ice for the next X turns. So he got 2 credits, and you played this.
And he gets nice.
And so he, what did he rest there? Is that a bug zapper?
I think it is a bug zapper.
That's a bug zapper. So it's a cost 6, a strength 2 sentry. Do 2 net damage for each rest ice outside this one.
This is probably the most literal interpretation of a bug zapper in the internet.
So yeah, PeterPan is like scored automatically this agenda now. The mark accounts gets the second tag. Now running R&D. The game just went into time, but I think they will continue playing this anyway. So there's misleading access menus now. It rests outside bug zapper. It costs 0, strength 2, code kit. Again, one of those guys where the corporation gets credits for this.
It's amazing. Man.
And now that there's an ice rest outside bug zapper actually does the net damage. And PeterPan has to understand this.
Oh my god.
He pays the credits for this? No, he doesn't pay the credits. He pays the credits to get through the misleading access menus, but gets to the net damage. Sees a card, it's nothing. And so the game is now over officially. So who won actually? Nick, do you know?
PeterPan has 4 points because he's got
both have 4, I think, right?
2 good to be trues, and then Frizzler there he scored. Let's see here. He scored a mark accounts too, didn't he?
Yeah, but worst was first one he scored.
Corporate downsizing.
Was that a 4-2?
There's a 3-2, and marked accounts was a 4-2.
All right, so they're both at the same.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah, they're both at 4 points, so it's 1-1.
Yeah.
But they decide to continue playing because the game was so exciting. They wanted to see how it plays out.
Yeah.
So let's see about that. And meanwhile, the back zapper is running out here. I mean, that back zapper play was probably just to make for Frizzler to make sure that he doesn't lose by points.
So he has 3 agendas up. What's the agenda he lost?
What? Which agenda he lost?
No, or which he has. I know he has 4, but he has 3 agendas. I can't figure out. He's a charity takeover.
Oh, the down after downsizing, he got rid of one of the agendas.
Yeah.
All right, so there's one on HQ. There's nothing.
I think actually Frizzler has 5.
No, he has 3 scored. Getting credit, nothing else.
All right.
Frizzler gets a card. It's difficult for Frizzler now because now it's like, how can he get his final agenda, right?
Yeah.
Because now, of course, the bug zapper is trash. So now there's just this misleading access menu. So it's just for 1 credit, PeterPan will see a card, and there's bound to be some agendas eventually. I mean, there's barely any cards.
It looks like he's got like 4 cards in there. Oh man, but he doesn't have enough credits to get through Kernel Failure, that the most amazing ice ever created ever for any reason.
You know what I love? The PeterPan didn't have the money to trash the bizarre encryption scheme, so now it's still there.
Which is weird because, like, it could be that he would win with agenda points, but if the timing goes into a certain way, then the corporation could lose without. Oh god, there's just such a strange.
Running on RD, there's nothing running HQ. Maybe there's going to be something else. The Frizzler checks. No, he cannot rest. He has no money.
Oh my god.
Running again. Come on, there's bound to be some agenda somewhere. Nope. I know exactly where the agenda probably is.
Behind Kernel Failure. What?
Kernel Failure got us covered. And getting credit advance. Slow rolling that is agenda. Man, running on the R&D again. And that's going to be maybe that's a score.
Security purge.
Oh man, well deserved, PeterPan.
Good job, PeterPan.
Both crazy plays here, just amazing play. PeterPan didn't just see, has so many access, didn't see a single agenda. And of course, that early kernel failure commit by Frizzler was kind of amazing that it paid so great dividends. Bizarre encryption scheme and
we should
kernel
say
failure.
about security purge, which is there's like a whole thing about this card. Because this is what eventually would become the accelerated beta test.
Yeah, it is.
It's show the top 3 cards of R&D to the runner when you score security purge. If any of those cards are ice, install and res them at no cost. Trash the rest. So you didn't have a choice.
Well, you don't have a choice.
Yeah.
I think with this either. But the difference to a security beta, accelerated beta test is that security purge you have to show the cards to the runner.
Yeah.
So if there's agendas in there, the runner will see if they're trashed.
Yeah.
Which is I don't know. I wonder why they didn't make it in Android Netrunner. I guess it's more interesting this way.
Yeah. Well, so this particular card is interesting because we saw him play that precognition card earlier.
Yeah, that would have been great. Yeah,
pretty good combo.
So see, Frizzler was going for quite some interesting combos here in his deck. Man, colonel failure. I can't. So here's the thing that happened when I was playing against Frizzler. First of all, I also encountered the encryption scheme, but now Frizzler was actually able to score this agenda before I was able to actually. So I spent like all my credits to get through this crazy server, and then to get this agenda shortly before it gets scored. And then he's like, nope, it's going to be scored. You will get it next turn. And then he just scored the agenda. And then I never got the agenda. And the other thing is I actually got through a huge server on R&D, I think it was. And he Dr. Draft into colonel failure. And I had no credits left because I just, it was just perfect time. I lost like all my rig and crazy amount of brain damage. It was incredible.
I'm really entertained by like how many ways that there is for the corporation to just wipe the runner's board. Whatever, all programs are dead. Bye.
Yeah. This game is. That's generally what we notice about Android Netrunner, and that's something we both noticed, Nick, when we were doing the unboxings, right?
Yeah.
Where this game is like incredibly swingy. It seems very swingy. Yeah. Like it's all or nothing. It's like you do 10 beat damage, but you also prevent all net beat damage. It's kind of like this. Very extreme. Seems very extreme.
What's nice about that, though, is that the Android Netrunner has a locking problem where you just lock them out and they can't do anything anymore. I think this particular game, there's enough swing in it to where you may be losing, and then suddenly you get the right cards and you're like, oh, boom!
Yeah, maybe it's like back and forth. I don't know if it's Android Netrunner has a locking problem. I think like we saw a pretty good locking going on here.
That's true. But that's the thing is he didn't. What was happening is the RNG was totally in Frizzler's favor, in my opinion.
Maybe. A bit of luck is part of the game.
But I hope that everybody enjoyed.
Oh yeah, we had a lot of fun, and we might repeat this in the future as well.
I mean the people who are watching.
Oh, that I also hope. And if you want us to do more of those drafts, then I would suggest you to visit our Patreon website, because obviously those are very expensive. We have to buy those boosters and everything. Yep. So we might maybe do a cube draft, but that requires a lot of work. We can also do that. I don't know. You visit our Patreon campaign nonetheless, patreon.com/hacktheplanet, and you can support us, and you can. We may be doing this in the future. Let us know what you want to see in the future.
Yeah. Most definitely, because, we could even do, we won't get into any of that. Well, I was going to talk about other card games, but...
Yeah, maybe we're going to branch off to other cards as well. Anyway, Nick, we're going to move out now, because we have spent a lot of time in the 90s. We have to go back to the 2000s.
Because I was living with my parents at the time, I got to move out of my mom's house and go become an android.
Exactly.
All right.
So let's become an android and hack the planet.
Hack the planet!
Goodbye forever.
Shut up and get in the car!
Goodbye forever.
Shit
Not
on
forever,
me.
Nick. Just for a while. This episode of Netrunner TeamworkCast was created with a generous support from our listeners. If you enjoy the show and you can't get enough Netrunner videos, please check out our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/hacktheplanet.